Shalom and good evening. This is TV7 Israel News, broadcast to you from Jerusalem. And in today's top stories, Palestinian Islamists in Gaza launch a rocket toward Israel's southern communities, drawing Israeli retaliatory strikes. Tensions are seemingly mounting throughout the West Bank districts of Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley. U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken cautions the looming Israeli government over its pre-election pledges. Palestinian Islamists in Gaza launched a rocket toward Israel's southern communities on Saturday evening, drawing Israeli retaliatory strikes against Hamas infrastructure in the Palestinian enclave. Tensions mounted significantly over the weekend after Israeli forces, as part of Operation Wavebreaker, clashed on multiple occasions with terror operatives in a number of locations throughout the West Bank districts of Judea and Samaria. And while no injuries were reported to the Israeli troops, at least 10 armed operatives affiliated with Islamist Hamas and Iranian proxy Palestinian Islamic Jihad were confirmed as killed, and additional casualties were reported. And while Qatar officials were said to pressure the Islamist Hamas not to exacerbate tensions along the Gaza front with Israel, the internationally recognized terror group failed to heed Doha's warning when a Hamas cell indiscriminately launched a rocket in the direction of Israel's southern communities. Nevertheless, the projectile exploded in an uninhabited area, causing no injuries or damage. However, at approximately 1 a.m., IDF fighter jets targeted a Hamas weapons manufacturing site, which according to the IDF spokesperson's unit was used as a main manufacturing site of Hamas, where the majority of the organization's rockets in the Gaza Strip were manufactured. In addition, the IDF also struck a Hamas terror tunnel in the southern part of the enclave. Meanwhile, the subsequent morning, outgoing Israeli Prime Minister Yair Lapid, who concluded a situation assessment with IDF Chief of General Staff Lieutenant General Aviv Kochavi, highlighted Israel's undeterred resolve vis-à-vis the Islamist organizations in the Gaza Strip.
קיימתי עכשיו סיור באוגדת יוש והערכת מצב עם הרמטכ"ל והמפקדים בשטח. צה"ל פועל במציאות רב-זירתית שטובעת מכוחות הביטחון מאמץ יומיומי לא פשוט. צה"ל תקף הלילה מטרה משמעותית של החמאס בעזה בעקבות הירי הרקטי על ישראל. אנחנו הודענו מיד כשהוקמה הממשלה על כל ירי תהיה תגובה קשה. נגמר העידן שבו יורים עלינו ואנחנו לא מגיבים. כך החזרנו את ההרתעה מול עזה.
The outgoing Israeli premier went on to praise the Israeli troops operating in the West Bank districts of Judea, Samaria, and the Jordan Valley, all the while highlighting that Jerusalem will never cease to back its law-abiding troops who are risking their lives for the security of the state of Israel and its citizens.
צה"ל, שב"כ ומג"ב פעלו הלילה גם ביהודה ושומרון כדי למנוע פיגועי טרור. זו מערכה נרחבת, נחושה, עם הרבה מאוד הישגים. מתחילת השנה סוכלו 445 פיגועים משמעותיים, מתוכם מעל 300 פיגועי ירי. מול התארגנויות הטרור אנחנו צריכים צבא חזק, ממושמע, עם שרשרת פיקוד ברורה, שפועל אך ורק על פי חוק. זה סוד כוחנו, זה מה שיצר את עוצמתו של צה"ל. הממשלה נותנת גיבוי מלא ללוחמים שלנו. אנחנו לא נאפשר חקירות של גורמים זרים, אנחנו לא נקבל הכפשות של חיילי צה"ל ולוחמי שב"כ ומג"ב שמסכנים את חייהם יום-יום כדי לשמור על מדינת ישראל ואזרחי ישראל. ידע כל לוחם, אם הוא שומר על החוק ועל הפקודות, תמיד יהיה לו גב רחב מאיתנו. אתם שומרים עלינו, אבל גם אנחנו שומרים עליכם.
As part of Operation Wavebreaker, IDF, ISA or Shin Bet, and Border Police Special Operations Forces conducted counterterrorism activity throughout Judea and Samaria, during which over 25 suspected terror operatives were apprehended. Among others, according to Palestinian media reports, IDF troops entered the town of Jenin and arrested Yahya Saadi, son of the Palestinian Islamic Jihad's leader in Samaria, Bassem Saadi, whose arrest approximately 4 months ago ultimately triggered Operation Breaking Dawn. According to the reports, during the course of the arrest overnight, clashes erupted between Palestinian militants and the Israeli troops. Separately, in the town of Dheisheh, south of Bethlehem, Palestinian militants opened fire at Israeli forces while operating to arrest a suspected terror operative. While no injuries were reported among the Israeli forces, the brother of the wanted suspect was killed, while 6 other militants sustained injuries. While Israel maintains unrelenting pressure against terror elements throughout the West Bank territories, U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken addressed an annual conference of the liberal-left Jewish American advocacy group, J Street, during which he initially highlighted the unwavering support of the United States to the State of Israel.
By strengthening Israel's security, recognizing that no peace is possible or sustainable without a strong, secure Israel. Deepening Israel's integration in the region and in the world. Holding firm to the vision of 2 states for 2 peoples. Opposing acts that diminish the long-term prospects of achieving that goal. And taking immediate steps to improve the lives of Israelis and Palestinians alike.
Secretary Blinken further highlighted the substantive funds which Washington allocates for Jerusalem annually, allowing it to procure weaponry from the U.S. Defense Department with the aim of ensuring Israel's qualitative military edge. Moreover, the consequent IDF interoperability with the U.S. military effectively enhances joint interests in matters of national security for both Israel and the United States.
Our countries participate regularly in joint military exercises, research, weapons development. We hold regular strategic dialogues. And this cooperation allows us to collaborate in countering a range of regional threats, none graver than those posed by Iran. The Iranian regime routinely threatens to wipe Israel off the map and continues to provide weapons to terrorists and proxies like Hezbollah and Hamas that remain motivated, like Iran, by the rejection of Israel's right to exist. In recent months, more and more countries are realizing that what we have long known about the Iranian regime's propensity to sow violence and instability. We see this daily as the regime is once again viciously cracking down on peaceful protesters at home, killing hundreds of its own people, including scores of women and children, and locking away thousands more in its brutal prisons. At the same time, the regime is arming and training Russian forces with drones that President Putin is using to kill Ukrainian civilians and destroy the infrastructure that provides millions of families with heat, with water, with electricity, just as winter is setting in. The United States is committed to standing with the Iranian people, especially women, as they demonstrate extraordinary courage in standing up for their rights.
Blinken further highlighted the brutality of the regime, and while the Biden administration remains convinced that the best way to limit Iran's nuclear ambitions remains a revival of the 2015 nuclear agreement, it is equally preparing for an alternative option.
We continue to believe that diplomacy is the best way to prevent Iran from obtaining a nuclear weapon, but should the Iranian regime reject that path, its leaders should make no mistake that all options are on the table to ensure that Iran does not obtain a nuclear weapon. We will continue to consult closely with European allies, with Israel, with partners in the region, and colleagues in Congress on the way forward.
Amid mounting concerns among the Biden administration's top leadership over the expected composition of the looming Israeli government of designate Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu, Secretary Blinken highlighted Washington's intention to respect Jerusalem's democratic outcome with a number of caveats.
As President Biden told Mr. Netanyahu when he called to congratulate him, we expect the new Israeli government to continue to work with us to advance our shared values, just as we have previous governments. We'll continue to express our support for core democratic principles, including respect for the rights of the LGBT community and the equal administration of justice for all citizens of Israel. We will gauge the government by the policies it pursues rather than individual personalities. We will hold it to the mutual standards we've established in our relationship over the past 7 decades. And we will speak honestly and respectfully with our Israeli friends, as partners always should.
Secretary Blinken further highlighted the Biden administration's unrelenting efforts to deepen Washington's relations with the Palestinians, all the while urging the Palestinian Authority to root out corruption and implement much-needed reform.
When President Biden came into office, we re-engaged with the Palestinian people, including resuming aid, and we worked to rebuild trust. Since that time, we provided more than $890 million in assistance for Palestinians, focusing on the issues that have the greatest impact on their daily lives: food, vaccines, support to strengthen Palestinian security.
Secretary Blinken further mentioned that the Biden administration intends to transfer an additional $350 million in the near future. Separately, Washington's top diplomat also highlighted the Biden administration's efforts to further widen Israel's regional integration, which was made possible by the Abraham Accords, 4 separate normalization agreements that were concocted under the Trump administration. Thank you for watching TV7 Israel News. In light of TV7's broadcast schedule, TV7 Israel will not air tomorrow evening. Nevertheless, Jerusalem studio will air as usual. On Wednesday, TV7 Israel News will resume our regular broadcast. Until then, keep praying for our persecuted brothers and sisters worldwide and for the peace of Jerusalem and salvation of Israel. I'm Jonathan Hassan wishing you a Shavua Mevorach, and God willing, we'll see you again tomorrow. Shalom.